So I think I'm going to title this The Most Toxic Grand Seiko and Why I'm Happy to Own It. Hey guys, Engineer Wannabe here, and we are finally going to be doing a review. I've been meaning to do this review for quite some time now. I've had this piece for a little over 2 months, and I'm really excited to to review it with you guys. This is going to be a review of the Grand Seiko SBGV238, a two-tone 9F quartz Grand Seiko with a 44GS case. It's also the 25th anniversary of Spring Drive. So, not Spring Drive, 25th anniversary of 9F Quartz. So, quite an impressive piece, and it does have a few tricks that you don't really see on other Grand Seiko 9F Quartz models, but we'll talk about that later. Before we get started, I will do a quick wristwatch check. I am wearing today my Omega Speedmaster 3861 with the Heslake. Anyway, let's flip the camera and get into it. Firstly, I wanted a 44GS case in my collection, and the reason why I got this one was because the other 44GS cases were a bit thicker than I was comfortable with. I used to have a 44GS GMT high beat, but it wasn't meant to be. I moved on to this guy, and it's been great ever since. I've been really excited about it. I mean, it's only been 2 months so far, but I think this might be one that hangs around a bit longer than normal. But yeah, let's talk a bit about the watch, the case, and the dimensions. So this is a 40mm diameter watch. It is about 10 millimeters thick, and its lug to lug is pretty trim at 46 millimeters. Its lug width is 19 millimeters. Now, if you have it on the bracelet, the lug to lug can get a bit extended to about 49 millimeters. So it gets a bit longer if you have it on the bracelet. But this watch I bought specifically to put on a strap. I think a strap really accentuates the case curves and the angles. So there are facets to this case as well as curves to this case that you don't really notice on maybe the thicker watches, but this is really something else. As you can tell, the top or the front of the case is polished with two brushed lines as it approaches the lug opening or as it hits the bracelet. The tips of the lugs have cuts and facets to it as well, and on the side of the watch, of course, you get this beautiful brushed belt line. You can see that there are apertured lugs so that you can make quick strap changes, which is really welcome. The crown, of course, in this model is not a screw down crown. It's a push-pull crown. It's relief blasted and very nicely done. I'm really impressed with this case. The bracelet, however, I'm not that impressed with. It's a bracelet. If you see a Grand Seiko bracelet, you'd kind of know what to expect. A generic Grand Seiko bracelet. And that said, though, during this heat wave that we're going through right now, I put the watch back on a bracelet. It lived on a strap. As soon as I got the watch, I just sized the bracelet and I put it on a strap, and it stayed there for the better part of 2 months. Now it's on the bracelet, and I'm actually really glad I had the bracelet. It balances out the head really well. The watch head sits planted on my wrist most times, and it's really comfortable. The Grand Seiko bracelets, for me at least, are really comfortable. It's worth noting that, of course, there's no micro adjust, but you do get two half links. Everything is just polished and beveled in really nice ways. There are no sharp angles. It's a well done bracelet. I really like it. But of course, as usual, micro adjust would be nice to have. But that does add bulk, and it would change the characteristics of this bracelet. This watch really shines on a strap, so keep that in mind. So the case back is a real treat. It's a sapphire case back, and on a 9F quartz piece, that is extremely rare. I don't actually know of many other or any other 9F quartz watches with a sapphire case back. That said, I'm sure they're out there. I just personally don't know of any. You get to see this amazingly well decorated quartz movement in all its glory. I'm not sure why Grand Seiko doesn't put a sapphire case back on more of their 9F quartz pieces, but this is really nice. So the bezel is 18 karat yellow gold, and if you look at the watch from the side, you can see that it's almost the lugs that protrude from the case almost looks like it's grabbing the bezel. It looks like a piece of jewelry or a claw holding on to the bezel. It's very subtle, so it's not off-putting, but it's very very nice feature of the 44GS case. I think it's accentuated here because of the fact that this is a very slender watch compared to other Grand Seiko models. And I think this is how the 44GS, as of right now, this is how the 44GS really should be experienced in this slim form factor. I neglected to mention the weight of this watch as well. The weight of this watch on a bracelet sized for my 6¼ inch wrist is 124 grams. So quite light, but not too light. I think it suits this slender, it doesn't feel overly dense. So I think it suits this watch, that weight. Now if you take it off the bracelet, the watch head alone is only 58 grams. So again, very nice weight to the watch head. I think it's perfect. So let's talk a bit about this movement. This movement is the 9F82, and generally Grand Seiko 9F movements are accurate to 10 plus or minus 10 seconds a year. This one, of course, is a bit better regulated. It's supposed to be plus or minus 5 seconds per year. Now, I've had this watch for 2 months, and it has gained 1 second. So I'm not sure how that will progress. There's a bit of quartz drift. There's a bit of change in accuracy with temperature, so I'm not sure how that'll pan out over the year. But you know what, I'm happy with the plus 1 second every 2 months. That works for me. I know a lot of people don't like quartz, but this movement is amazingly over-engineered. It's got a 3-year battery life. It would be nice if they did something like a solar-powered 9F quartz, but they don't do that right now. It's got a 3-year battery life, and it's been really well decorated, as you can see from this amazing case back. It's a jeweled quartz movement, which is rare, and it's got this thing called a super sealed chamber. The chamber is sealed from all the elements, and they used to say, I'm pretty sure they used to say that the service interval would be around 50 years. I don't think they say that anymore, but you know, you're okay. You can make battery changes without being concerned about dust and all sorts of things getting into the gears, and of course the lubricants drying out and stuff like that. I don't think theoretically you have to be concerned about any of that. So it's a really amazingly over-engineered movement, and I'm really happy to own one, and especially in this configuration. Let's talk a bit about the dial. So the dial is very signature Grand Seiko. It's a beautiful dial. It's got this really nice stamped pattern on it. It says 9FGS, so 9F for 9F Quartz, GS for Grand Seiko, and at one point there is also 25. So 9FGS 25. The 25 is only in one spot. Very nicely done by Grand Seiko. The applied indices are beautifully faceted, and they are, to my eye, they are perfect. I don't see any blemishes or any rough edges in the applied indices or the hands. It's got a date at 3 o'clock, and that date is beautifully framed as well. So I'm really, really thrilled with this dial. You have also a really nice applied logo and very crisply printed Grand Seiko text. So I think I'm going to title this The Most Toxic Grand Seiko, and why I'm happy to own it. And I really am happy to own it. Some of you guys know that I really like two-tone. I've had some pretty questionable pieces according to you guys, but pieces that I've loved, and this would be one of those things. It's two-tone. It's a bit more expensive than a normal 9F quartz, at least at the time of this video recording, and it's a quartz. So a quartz two-tone Grand Seiko is probably the most toxic Grand Seiko out there, and you know what? It's still really cool. I'm really really grateful to be able to own this. I love the 44GS case. I love the way this specific 44GS case, the one that houses a 9F movement, I love the way it sits on the wrist, and it's very slender, and it really entertains your eyes. Let's talk a bit about the cons. The bezel is 18 karat gold, so it is easily scratchable. I've kind of matured a bit, I suppose, over the years as a collector, and scratches don't matter to me as much. But those high polished lugs and the bezel pick up scratches very easily. And there are other models with a non two-tone configuration. So a 9F Quartz 44GS Grand Seiko without the two-tone bezel, or the gold bezel. That I think begins with SBGP, SBGP003 I think is one of them. But definitely look into those if this piques your interest, but you're not too fond of this dial. It's a bright dial, and if you're not too fond of the two-tone look, look into those. They're a bit more affordable as well, a bit cheaper. And they have a modern 9F movement with a jumping hour hand. So really cool stuff. But this, of course, is for me, and I am thrilled with it. So yeah, guys, that's really it. That is all that I want to share with you guys about the Grand Seiko SBGV238. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions about this watch, and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Yeah, what do you think? What do you think of two-tone and quartz? Let me know. I'd love to have a conversation with you guys. So anyway, guys, take care. Stay safe out there. Remember, guys, that you are worth it, and I appreciate you, and I'm very thankful for you as well. But I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.